on, Violet, we gotta go.
But what about the TV?
There's no time, now let's go. What do you think it could be, Doctor? Violet's been ill for a few weeks now, and it keeps getting worse. Violet, can you tell me when you first started coughing up blood?
For about a week now, I think. I've been struggling to breathe, though, for a little over a month.
Okay, and have you traveled anywhere in the past 6 months or so?
Well, the only place we've been was LA, and that was around 5 months ago to escape the wildfires. You know, the ones that were up here in Healdsburg. We were there for about a month, and then we came back, and ever since then, we've been rebuilding our house, which sadly was lost in the wildfire.
Alright, Violet. I'm going to have some tests run. I'm putting in a request for some CT scans done of your lungs. If you could head downstairs to have them done, that would be great. You're going to want to leave the way you came, go down the hallway, and then take a left. It'll be the first door on your right. The nurse there should be able to help you. Great, thank you, doctor. Oh, this isn't good, Scott. That's why I wanted you to come in here. This poor girl has got 2 huge tumors in her lungs. I see that, yeah. It just boggles my mind how she got these. The wildfires weren't even that bad, and they were 5 months ago. They weren't bad for you, Scott. You're around San Francisco. They were awful up here, and many people lost their houses, including Violet. But unlike most, she and her husband are trying to rebuild. Oh dear, that must be a lot of work. I bet it is, but with her rebuilding, she has been around a lot of ash. Wait, Healdsburg uses a lot of stainless steel to build houses, which has chromium in it. Wait, with the fires, that turns it quickly into hexavalent chromium. And if she's been rebuilding, she's been breathing it in for months. And that form of chromium is incredibly toxic. Scott, I think we figured this out. That's what's been causing the cancer. Well, I'm gonna have to go break this news to the Maranai. I'm afraid you're gonna have to, man. But I can come with you for support if you'd like. I'd appreciate it. You never know how someone's gonna react to news like this.
What? I have cancer? I'm gonna die!
Violet, we'll do our best to make sure you're okay. But we'll need you to remain calm so we can go over some possible treatment plans.
Calm? How the hell am I supposed to say calm when I have cancer and I'm gonna die? I'm gonna die.
How could this have happened?
I'm gonna die. Oh my god.
Violet, I'm gonna need you to stay calm. You're not gonna die. We need to... Stephanie, can you send a nurse over here to take Violet on a walk to calm her down?
I'm on it. Hey, Violet. Why don't you come with me for a bit? Let's go get you some fresh air. I guess it wouldn't hurt to get my final few breaths of oxygen.
I think that went quite well. Doc, please. Will she be okay? We'll do our best.
Please, do you know how this could have happened?
You know, it's very difficult to be able to pinpoint exactly what's caused tumors to grow, but based on Violet's story, it's leading us to believe that from the wildfires a few months ago, all the ash that remains is being inhaled and causing these tumors in her lungs to develop.
But how is that going to cause cancer? Wouldn't inhaling ash only cause respiratory problems? And I'm sorry for the questions. I want to be able to fully understand everything that's happening so I can help Violet.
No, it's quite all right. Lots of loved ones ask all sorts of questions when they're given this news, so I understand why you're curious. There are a lot of chemical components that are involved. This ash in particular is considered cancerous, and it's just very difficult to explain, but I can do my best if you'd like to know. No, please do share with me. I want to know as in-depth as possible, and, you know, don't worry about all the chem terminology. I hate to brag, but I got a 4 on my AP chemistry exam. I'm pretty good at balancing reactions. Aren't you in your 30s? Yeah, but there's gotta be something still in there. Anyway, to understand why we think that inhaling the ash could be cancerous, we need to start from the beginning. Like, from before the forest fires and back to the infrastructure, because that's where the root of the problem is. Today, especially in Healdsburg, California, a lot of infrastructure is built with stainless steel, and a large component in stainless steel is an element called chromium. Chromium comes in all different forms, but in stainless steel, it's in one of its non-toxic forms, trivalent chromium. Oh, I remember this. Isn't chromium like a heavy metal or something like that? Yeah. Anyway, naturally, when trivalent chromium is exposed to the air, it starts turning into a new form called hexavalent chromium. Wait. Don't tell me. I think I remember this. Doesn't it do this because of the amount of protons in the atom? Not even close. It's because when trivalent chromium reacts with oxygen in the atmosphere, it very slowly oxidizes into hexavalent chromium. And before you ask what oxidize means, it means that when trivalent chromium reacts with oxygen, it gains 3 more electrons and turns into hexavalent chromium. Oxygen is considered an oxidizing reagent, so when a chromium is exposed to it, it turns into hexavalent chromium. And by the way, hexavalent chromium is incredibly toxic. I definitely remember that. I don't know what I was saying with the protons. I was thinking probably something else. But this is all like dandy and all, but how is chromium in stainless steel giving my wife cancer? Well, to start, this reaction is incredibly slow. Trivalent chromium turning into hexavalent chromium takes forever. However, with the wildfires recently coming through, the heat from the fire catalyzed, aka sped up, the reaction. The fires were over 200 degrees, which is a lot of heat. If you remember from your AP Chem class, just from a few years ago, heat is a very common catalyst as it speeds up the electrons moving around. So, when you lost your house and it was burned down, all this hexavalent chromium was released. As you can see from where we live in Northern California, there is a lot of chromium. And the more intense the fires we have, and the more chromium there is, the more hexavalent chromium that's going to be produced. For these wildfires specifically, in areas like San Francisco below us, there'll be less hexavalent chromium because the fires weren't as severe there. Sadly, what's getting scary is that as climate change gets worse, areas of extreme drought will have more wildfires, and hexavalent chromium levels could start to become out of control. Like where we live, we do experience a lot of drought. And as you probably remember, in the last 3 years or so, there were a lot of wildfires. If this continues to happen, we will probably be one of the worst places to suffer from hexavalent chromium ash. Whoa. That is a lot to process. So do you think that the hexavalent chromium or whatever it's called is what's making Violet sick? This is what we think is happening, yes. Hexavalent chromium is toxic to us because when it's inhaled, it has the ability to pass through what are called cell membranes. Trivalent chromium doesn't have this property, which is why it's non-toxic to us. Hexavalent chromium binds with ligands in the cells, and it works its way slowly into the RNA, which is what causes the cancer. Wait, I just thought of something. If these fires were 6 months ago, why is Violet only now getting sick? These fires are over, so shouldn't all this hexavalent chromium be gone by now or something? Sadly, that's not exactly what's happening. After the fires were gone, there was still a large amount of toxic ash. And due to the wind, the toxic soil that was also from these fires were blown into the ash in the form of very, very teeny tiny particles called PM 2.5. These are very dangerous particles because they are very easily inhaled. Sadly, when you came back from LA, all this ash was still present. It takes around a year for toxic ash to disappear after fires die down. So, you're saying that when we came back, Violet inhaled the ash and Violet got sick. But I'm safe. I can't guarantee anything. But have you been doing anything differently than her that would cause you to be feeling okay and her not to be? Well, I mean, we do all the same things and we go all the same places together. I mean, the only thing is I wear a mask sometimes when we go out, but that's only because I have asthma and I don't really want to be carrying my inhaler around with me all the time. Well, because you've been wearing a mask, this is probably why you haven't been as affected by the ash. But if you would like, we can run some scans just to make sure nothing's wrong. Nah, I'm alright. I don't really feel any different than I did when we left, but if anything changes, I will come back.
I'm sorry about that, Doctor. It was just a lot to cope with in the moment. It's just all so scary and so uncertain, but I think I'm ready to discuss some treatment plans.
Excellent, Violet. Why don't you come sit over here?